we are going to announce our first person. He is basically the animation expert on Dragon Ball. And we are all waiting the day when he is actually going to upload another Dragon Ball themed video. The time will come, my dear friends. Eventually. But yes, give it up for Animeajay. Animeajay, roll on up. So, roll on up. And now, we have, all the way from Cork, Ireland, we have a Dragon Ball analyst. And of course, a professional anime liker. Well, you kind of have to be if you're in this convention. Give it up for TotallyNotMark. Get on up there, you. And now, this guy, he's not just a convention chair, so he gets to be right in the middle. I mean, he managed to swing that. But he's also taking on board one of those things that not many people would really want to cope with, and that is the art of power scaling. He is an expert in this field, and again, it's an arduous task that many people have died trying to explain. But this guy has rang true and become the grand priest of that topic. So I want to give you a big round of applause because it's a very monumental task and I cannot be bothered with it. Give it up for our con-chair, Revolushane! That deserved a very prolonged applause. But yes, we also now have our next guy, a Dragon Ball comedy artist, and somebody who basically tried to manipulate you all into buying me muffins in a very tactical and shrewd marketing ploy, which I wholly recommended because I like muffins. That is my life now, pretty much. But he's also a very talented chap and a very hilarious guy and a very good tech guy, as proved earlier. I'm being serious. I said, like, I should have just gone, huh? Honey. But yes, give it up for World King Kanji.
Oh, hail the king!
Hail to the king. And now, we have up for you next. We have the guy who actually got me into doing what ifs in the first place. And he'd break down lore like nobody's fool in Dragon Ball. Trying to break down things that Toriyama never really thought. He was just like, just did it. And he's also an expert in the big green that is Piccolo. So give it up for Qaaman. But then not to mention that we do have another American with us. And basically, he is our prince of the melon farming sayings. So give it up for a parody voice actor, and I do know who I'm talking about, but I just want to make sure I get the introduction right and do them justice. Give it up for Prince Vegeta! And oh yeah, apparently that last one, by the way, he's not really anything special, he's just like some kind of music guy, really. You know, he's got a twin, and it's all a hallucination, I guess. Yes, HalusaTwin, kind of sounds like that. But no, seriously, he is our other con chair, and he has really been on the ball with making this work. Getting this epic area. He and Shane have managed to really get somewhere where if we ever did any more of these, we could realistically keep going here for years and years and years. This is our hyperbolic time chamber, by the way. And that's the only time you're ever going to hear me say that correctly. Wait, what? But yes, HalusaTwin is with us. And all right, we have a microphone up there, so let's get down the time. And the time is now 7:10. We are now ready for our first panel of the event. Give it up for the Content Creator Q&A. All right, so I've already introduced you guys basically, but if you guys want to actually give yourself a more elaborate introduction about your specific things, as well as a little cheeky plug here and there, use the microphone and do speak up now. We'll start down with the AJ and come down to Halusa. And again, you can take your time, big yourself up as much as you want. We're all friends here.
Yeah, okay, we're good. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad trying to big myself up. As Masako said, I haven't uploaded in
We're
quite
still
some
waiting for
time.
that video, you know.
Yeah, a temporary hiatus, but I will definitely be back. Yeah, no, just like Super. Yeah, just like Super. Yeah, no, my name is Animeajay. I focus primarily on, well, breaking down anime, specifically Dragon Ball, kind of going through episodes and showing, who animated each scene, some behind the scenes, tidbits and that kind of stuff. Essentially, I spend way too long staring at single screenshots. It's a sad life, but it's fun. But yeah, I mean, that's essentially me. I would try and jazz it up a bit, but I don't think I deserve it. So I'm going to pass it on to Mark, who is a very hard-working YouTuber, the antithesis of me entirely.
Gee, thanks. Honestly, I have no idea what I do. I talk about Dragon Ball, I guess, but realistically, my job, honestly, for the last year has felt like, oh, Sunday's here. What am I going to talk about next week? It's just constantly, it's a never-ending cycle of just trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about, and just trying to hype myself up to get passionate about talking about narratives, talking about stories, talking about characters, development, and all that kind of stuff. I find that really fun, and yeah, that's pretty much me, really.
Passes the baton.
Right, yeah, once again, my name is King Kanji, and thank you for that really nice round of applause, which I probably didn't deserve, so thank you. But basically, you guys might have actually seen some of the content that I've done on YouTube, such as like the Dragon Ball Fusion Challenge, which currently has Geekdom 101 as the champion, and formerly Dimsy's Domain. But of course, then we also have the Dragon Ball Pictionary, which of course you guys will all be able to see live tomorrow, where Animeajay
You show off your drawing skills.
and Dimsy's Domain get to side with the voice actors of Brian Drummond and Peter Kalamis to go head to head in what is probably going to be a very, very, very interesting panel, because I'm sure that there'll be lots of scribbles. I might actually just try and make some of them look like the actual characters.
Oh, by the way. Will there be gumdrops and ice cream there too? Because it's Goku and Vegeta.
Oh, maybe.
Okay, that's good. That's cool.
Right, but with that, I shall pass you on to the power scaler.
Yes, my name's Revolushane. Well, my name isn't actually Revolushane, that's just my channel. Basically, it's Revolution with Shane stuck in the name.
Ah!
I get
Genius.
it.
But yeah, I delve into the cesspit of power scaling and everything that goes with it. Who's the strongest? It's a mean world out there in the power scaling world. Get anything wrong, you will get absolutely jumped on. Fortunately, I don't get much wrong.
Strong words.
That's a challenge, RJ. I'll debate you. Anyway, on Discord. Anyway, yeah, I do power scaling. Who's the strongest character? I think I can give a very in-depth analysis on who's the strongest. So you can see me about, asking who you think's the strongest out of which character. Who's stronger, Jiren or Broly? I'll tell you. Anyway, I'll pass it.
Alrighty, guys. It's Qaaman here today, and to make it pretty simple, I've been doing this since I was like 17. I was just a bored high school, college kid that had a little bit of free time. I just did YouTube videos, it worked out, and I just have a lot of fun with it, and I'm mostly known for doing like all of these wacky theories that somehow kind of make sense. And I also do like a lot of like character analysis videos and stuff like that, and a lot of what if theories and stuff. So that's pretty much me. I'm kind of the all-around guy.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Prince Vegeta. I do voices on my channel. I make parody songs and many other things, but mainly I just talk to myself and just, hey, Kakarot. Kakarot, why have you done this to me? Why have you made my life a living hell? Why?
Because you're my best buddy. I put you on with like-minded people.
I don't want this. I never asked for this, Kakarot. Why can't you take the hint, please?
Well, you don't ask for these kind of things. It's a gift. Gifts are things that you give it.
And you're giving me a migraine.
You're welcome.
But anyway, that's all.
Hi guys, I'm HalusaTwin. Most of my stuff, well in fact all of my stuff on my channel is between covers, custom tracks. It's basically Dragon Ball-esque based, themed. in the Faulkner style mostly, but sometimes I do Sumitomo, mix it up a little bit, Kikuchi, that sort of style. A lot of my stuff is actually on a lot of these guys' channels because I do custom tracks. It avoids the old copyright strikes and stuff, so they sometimes get custom tracks from me as well. I do have other channels that are not really doing very well, but my main channel is basically where you'll find me, just pumping out more music all the time. And that's about it, really. I hope everyone enjoys themselves today. And well, over the entire weekend, there'll be like some music this weekend as well. Tomorrow, at Saturday night, from 7 until 10, I will be performing with a whole bunch of my good buddies over there on the last table, which is Frederick of Battler Music, 94 Stones, and Jawpaw XX. So look out for that tomorrow as well. It's going to be a blast. Okay.
All right, nice. Give it up for our guests here, the content creators. All right, so basically, this is the VIP thing. Obviously, you pay for the ticket, but this is your chance basically to just have your questions much more likely to be answered because we've got plenty of time here, but this isn't just the only thing. But since I'm the host, I get to answer the first question. Just kind of give you guys an idea. So, okay. So, now that Super has concluded, for the time being, I want you guys to just basically encapsulate what your favorite arc is and why. In every single arc of the series. Even GT, like. If you want. Actually, if we can get the music turned down, that would probably be just like good.
Yeah, I'll turn it down.
But yeah, no, so I think because otherwise it'd be like Limit Break X Survivors trying to manipulate your thing. And if you want to, throw in your least favorite and be as candid as possible.
Is this thing on? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, we're good. Okay.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I switch between arcs all of the time. I mean, if you asked me, like, 4 years ago, I'd probably say the Android arc. But I think in recent years, especially as like the Japanese version of the show has kind of become my go-to version, the Frieza arc is just unbeatable. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Ryusei Nakao's Frieza is just incredible. I mean, I'm not even gonna try and imitate his famous oh. It's phenomenal. There we go. Yeah, no, it's no, it's spectacular. It juggles so many characters and so many different character arcs. Really, while obviously the main focus is Goku as he makes his way towards the first ever Super Saiyan transformation, which is just spectacular. Obviously, the anime likes to drag out that fight as long as humanly possible to the point where you're like, please make it end. But no, the manga is incredible. Yeah, it is by far my favorite arc. Yeah, I mean, in Super, probably the start of the Black arc. Don't get me started on the Tournament of Power. I'll be ranting for hours. But we'll leave it there. That's not a popular opinion, I don't think.
It sounds like you're in the video, doesn't it? It's like, you just imagine, it's like, I just heard AJ talking about, now I just need the particle background and the images coming in. I'm in the moment.
AJ, can you say the word smears for me, please?
Smears.
That's very good. I feel bad, but I almost want to echo exactly what you were going to say, because I was like, as soon as you asked the question, I was like thinking Namek arc, Frieza arc straight away, because for whatever reason, I can look at different arcs of Dragon Ball through a different lens or whatever, but whenever I go and watch the Frieza arc or the Namek arc, I always get kind of sucked into the story straight away. It doesn't waste any time getting going in like what's happening. They leave immediately to Namek. They immediately get into trouble. They immediately get to the Ginyu Forest, and that causes Vegeta to have to cooperate with the main cast. And that's incredibly interesting because up until that point, he had been a bad guy. So I think it's a very easy pick for me, and it's always been the Namek arc, and the Frieza arc really kind of encapsulates that. But yeah, the Super Saiyan transformation. My favorite scene in all of Dragon Ball, I'm not sure if I've ever said this, but my favorite scene in all of Dragon Ball was the Kaioken times 10 on Namek against Frieza, because it was Goku punching up, and it was amazing coming of, it was like a culmination of everything that he had been working with up until that point, and it was just incredibly cathartic. So yeah, I'll pass it on to Kanji.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so favorite arc in Dragon Ball. Tournament of Power.
I swear to God, I'll punch you.
Is it actually?
No,
Ooh, controversial.
YouTube drama.
For those of you that didn't hear that, that was AJ threatening me.
But so I think basically in Super, the Tournament of Power was a nice idea, but it wasn't executed in the best way. But I will say that it could have been good. So I have to give it an honorable mention, to be fair. But no, if we're talking about my actual favorite arc, if we were to like literally just put it down to the brass tacks of the entire thing, I think my favorite arc is probably the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai with Goku versus Ten Shinhan. Actually, we were just talking about this earlier, but like I love the use of like submission holds and wrestling moves and stuff that come into the actual fight between Goku and Ten Shinhan. And it's amazing because of course you get the bits with the blocking the Kamehameha and the Kikoho, and you suddenly start finding that everything is so powerful, like in this one scene. And it was before they had to fly. Obviously, Ten Shinhan could, but Goku couldn't, and that was what made it so good. It was the techniques that made Dragon Ball so enjoyable. But with that, I think I'll pass it on to Shane.
Well, yeah, my favourite arc changes all the time, but it's probably changed about 3 times since we've gone from AJ to me, because I'm like, oh yeah, the Freezer arc, that was probably my favourite arc, and then I'm like, but I really love the Cell games. But actually, Boo, the story in Boo, the Boo saga is all over the place, but they have some really cool concepts introduced. Oh, sorry. They have some really cool concepts introduced in the Boo saga. I like the Baby saga from GT. The rest of it can.
YouTube beef.
Yeah, YouTube beefs. the Baby saga in Dragon Ball GT. I think the rest of it's not that great, but I like the Future Trunks saga in Super, but it kind of fell off a cliff with the last episode or 2.
Just a bit.
Just a 4. Yeah, episode 64 onwards. What's my favourite arc there? It's changed about 5 times since I've been speaking. I'm probably Namek or the Cell games. Okay, Namek or Cell games. I'm going for 2 answers, sorry.
All right, well, if we were to speed this up into the best arc or favorite arc from each Dragon Ball series, I'd probably have to go with the King Piccolo arc in Dragon Ball, because I feel like that was the arc that really made Dragon Ball like really, 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 really serious, it starts off with Krillin dying, and then Goku goes on like this assassination mission. And then for Dragon Ball Z, I'd probably have to say the Android arc or the Cell games, whichever you want to call it, just the Android arc in general, because I feel like that was the arc that had the best balance of its main characters. Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Piccolo, and Trunks all had like a very vital part of the arc, whereas in many other Dragon Ball arcs, some of the other characters get left behind. In GT, probably have to say the Baby arc, because I feel like it had the greatest concepts and the best execution, even though it had a lot of problems. And for Super, man, I think it's between the Tournament of Power or the Trunks arc, but I'd have to go with the Trunks arc. I think that Zamasu, even though he had his flaws, I thought was the best villain of Super, or one of the real only villains of Super. And I feel like that was like the one arc of Super that felt like a classic Dragon Ball story. And I really liked seeing Future Trunks and Mai's relationship. So yeah, that's my short spiel.
Yeah, let's just pretend that episode 67 never existed.
Or 64.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
Well, if I had to say what my favorite arc in Dragon Ball is, it's always going to be the Android arc, because my favorite character of the show, even though I do Vegeta most of the time, has always been Gohan. And it started with his journey, progressing and leading up to the moment that he transformed into Super Saiyan 2, which is my favorite moment in Dragon Ball. Just seeing him, overcome all of the fear that he had inside of him and fight Cell and take his place, as the guy that's going to watch over the Earth. But we all know how that ended in Buu Saga, right? But it just like Q said, it has the best usage of every character. Tien has a great moment. Piccolo has a great moment. Even Krillin has a great moment, and he gets married. Yeah. So it's just in the introduction of really great characters as well. You know, you get Trunks. He just comes in out of nowhere, and you're just automatically in awe of him, right?
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing arc. But if I had to choose Dragon Ball, my favorite arc, it's probably I want to say it's the King Piccolo arc, but it's probably more of when what's it called? Is it the 23rd tournament? I think, yeah. That arc, yeah. I think that's my favorite arc because I just love that the fight between Krillin and Piccolo in that arc specifically. It's one of my favorite fights. But in Super, I have to say Goku Black. That arc is just amazing. And GT, it's the baby arc, obviously. I mean, it was good. It had really great ideas, good potential. I didn't know how I felt about this voice, but you know, it was fun. So yeah, that's my favorite.
Okay, with all of Dragon Ball, I would probably say the Android arc is probably my favorite. Because I do music, I feel like during that point, for both the Japanese and for the American score, the Faulkner score, had the best sort of arcs for music, like progressing forward. I mean, you had theme tunes like Gohan Angers, the piano tune. When that plays, you can really feel the emotion from the scene. Super Saiyan, Vegeta powers up, you know, that's another piano tune as well, played by Mike Smith. And it had like an amazing moment in that scene there. And the music just carries it forward. The Japanese as well, it does have, you know, a great score that follows that, including in Kai as well. I know, but I did enjoy that score as well. It was pretty good. With Super, I think, and obviously with Z, it has Trunks. Trunks is my favorite character out of all the characters. Well, apart from Vegito, but he's not really a full character, so I always go with Trunks as my favorite, and then Vegito as my second favorite. And also, he has a great theme tune as well for the TV commercial, I believe. Where it flashes and it's really fast paced and the guitar's in there. So yeah, one of my favorites is probably the Z. Second, if I'm going to add an extra one, because everyone's sort of thrown an extra one in, I would say in Super, the Goku Black arc is probably my favorite. And I know it did sort of end a bit sort of silly, you know, it was kind of felt like it rushed and all that kind of business. But I like the idea that the bad guy in it doesn't realize he's the bad guy, and the fact that they actually brought an evil Goku into it, which is like complete, you know, fan service, and everyone loved it. I think everyone enjoyed that. Wasn't so sure with when he went rosé posh English voice thing, but we just let that go. But the music in that as well, you know, the score was top notch in that as well. So, you know, Sumitomo really blew us away with that. So yeah, I mean that's my list, I think. And if I was going to pick GT, then Baby. I mean it's the one that feels most like Z, I think, in my opinion. So yeah.
Well, the whole thing about that is because HalusaTwin arose by any other name is still Goku.
If I could just finish Halusa's thing, he also likes the tournament arc, he also likes the red ribbon arc, he also likes...
I like it all, I just love it.
But I'm pretty sure the one track that you probably don't like from Super is just that weird one that goes...
That's AJ's favourite.
That's just like... That is the most inappropriate track I've ever heard in Super. And I'm not like an expert in music. But it was just like, what even is this? But okay, I actually came up with this one question. This is something I'm probably gonna tackle like in a longer video while we're here, because there's so many brilliant creators here. I probably might ask you lot as well. But this is one thing I wanted to do. So, let's say that Toei Animation gave you the keys to Dragon Ball, and you could do one thing to the franchise. It could be the video games, it could be the anime, it could be the marketing, merchandise, anything. And you had to do one thing, you had to get the keys back, and they had to stick to that decision. What would you change, or what would you add? Now, this is using all of your YouTube brains.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm going to be very cynical. I would put in a restriction where they're not allowed to reuse any ideas. No recycled concepts, no recycled characters. Just...
How do you draw that line?
Just, I don't know, just stop.
You draw that line very well. That's what you do.
No, I mean, legitimately, a legitimate answer would be that when it comes to how they structure the series, I would love for them to make the sort of connective tissue from arc to arc feel like there actually is some connective tissue. I always felt like in Super, there are very, very clear divisions between each arc. Like, like when the Universe 6 arc ends, when the Future Trunks arc ends, and you kind of, with the little bits of filler / not filler, like in the middle, you kind of sit there sort of waiting to kind of count down until something begins again, which I guess you can kind of do with Z, but I feel like Z and obviously the original Dragon Ball series, there is a lot more of like a flowing story that actually runs into each other, which I kind of felt has been lost a little bit with the recent content. So I would absolutely love to see that come back. I mean, everything else production-wise has pretty much been changed for me for the better with the new Broly movie, with the new character designer and everything. So that side of stuff, perfect. Story stuff, we're getting there, I think. I mean, did anyone read the new Super chapter today, by any chance? Hands up, anyone? Wow, very few people. Slacking in your fandom. But yeah, it's very, very good. So it seems like we're heading in the right direction, at least. But yeah.
When you started asking the question, I was like, oh, I have no idea. But then you mentioned, like, I can change anything in Toei. I can change anything with the Dragon Ball property, marketing, video games.
It's basically almost like Shueisha.
I know exactly what I want to do.
So, anything.
I want them to hire Team 4-Star. Like, I don't know if I'm speaking just for myself here. No, I'm not sure if I'm speaking just for myself, but I kind of fell out of Dragon Ball at towards the middle of the 2000s, and then I kind of picked it back up, and it was 99% of that was because of Team 4-Star. And I think a lot of people might feel the same way, and I can't help but feel like there's a lot of, like, even speaking from a fiscal standpoint, like, there's a lot of money being left on the table by not hiring these guys. They're incredibly talented, and I think it could only be a good thing to hire them in some capacity so they can be finally an official part of the Dragon Ball fandom and franchise.
Oh, Mark, flattery will get you everywhere.
I know your room number.
He does, actually.
I think if I had the creative keys to Toei, or just anything Dragon Ball in this instance, maybe any power. I mean, I would say fix Xenoverse 2's online, but I know that they wouldn't even do that. But, however, if we're going to go for a serious answer, oh man, it'd be quite difficult because I've actually completely forgotten what I was actually thinking of. So that's a completely difficult way of having to take this conversation down a nice path. I would say, I think perhaps just sort of giving maybe different people in the same sort of vein that I'm completely rambling for time here. In the same sort of vein as you not wanting them to reuse ideas, I think maybe actually if they took some different people to write different arcs and then just had them all come together, because there was an awful lot of the Future Trunks arc in Super that was actually a lot to do with Toyotaro, because that was his original story in Dragon Ball AF. And if you haven't read that, I really recommend you go and do it, because you'll be surprised at the similarities. Trust me. But yeah,
yes, it's Dragon Ball AF.
Yeah. But I really would sort of, I really would recommend to Toei that they would hire different people to write the different arcs, just because that would give it some flavoring into each of the different sections, and that would help differentiate between the arcs.
I would give Toriyama a memory book of what is written, so he doesn't accidentally retcon what he's already wrote. On a serious note, I'd like more guidebooks, because I like reading the guidebooks. If Dragon Ball Super got a guidebook, that would help a lot. And maybe, I'm giving quite a few answers here, but maybe some side stories as well. I wouldn't mind seeing some side stories about the Ginyu Force, and maybe there's more of the same background. Maybe King Vegeta, Bardock side story. Oh, well, we've already had that, haven't we? What we're talking about. Maybe an assassin hit story, Jiren's story. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, maybe just more lore detail being brought into the series through side stories to add to the wider context of the lore. That's mine.
I already know what this is going to be.
No, I'm not gonna make Piccolo the best character, but I guess for me, I mean, I'm actually glad that I went 5th because I had to really like think about this. I would probably translate a lot of Dragon Ball documents that have never been translated before. And as an American, and obviously being in England or the United Kingdom, we are English speakers. And I feel like a lot of the world is kind of missing out on a lot of the Daishenzus and stuff, having to go to Kanzenju to see all of these translated articles, because the simple fact is we can't get our hands on a lot of these documents. And a lot of times Dragon Ball fans debate about things that they can't find the answer to unless they go through these very, very specific sources that only translators or really, really, really high-level fans can get their access to. So I feel like bridging the gap to all Dragon Ball fans with translations would help. And in terms of Dragon Ball moving forward, I'd probably make a movie or an arc about the Universe 6 Saiyans, because I feel like that's probably the most potential in terms of a future plotline.
Just for point of reference there, our resident Cauliflower is basically going to woo!
Stand up!
Represent!
Woo!
Yeah.
You know, I thought about what I would change in Dragon Ball, and I think the thing that I would really love to change is Goku, in the sense of I would love for him to have a lot more character development and change with the show a little bit more. In Z, I felt that he had good development, but in Super and Moscow, maybe you agree with me, it felt like they kind of reverted his character a bit.
Oh yeah, no, Haverock and I basically all the time, we basically just go like, because the moment that I basically hit my biggest face palm, it's like, Goku, where you bring the talisman? Oh no, I left it in the ship! The Martha would have worked. That the thing we know. Had Goku remembered the dang talisman, or just remember to.
Yeah,
that it would have ended in episode 62. And
I just think it's really hindered the series, you know, in a way, because he is the main character. And if you look at a character like Vegeta, he's evolved. You look at a character like Gohan, he's evolved.
Yeah.
And you look at Goku, and he's
devolved.
He's devolved, exactly. Like de-evolution right now.
Yeah, no, basically there's I did a what if about what if Goku won against Master Roshi again when he was Jackie Chun, the first one. But basically talking about humility. And I basically had it that eventually, oh no, it was another what if. They all meld together somehow. But it was basically to a point where Tenshinhan and Iron Bulma get to use the alphabet, it works. Goku says, oh, that's cool. Hey, can I have a look at it, please? He smashes it and basically says, I want to fight King Piccolo. I'm like, Goku, you're basically just your kid self again. I'm like, yeah, Goku definitely needs to change, so I wholeheartedly agree. I was very curious at the first, it's like, go on. But yeah. So Halusa, if you were given the keys, what would you do?
Well, as a musician, I would probably put myself to do the rest of Dragon Ball Super soundtrack. No, I'm joking. I mean, I would love to do that.
You get Sumitomo's number.
Yeah. But no, I think the one thing I really love, and I love the side story thing as well, like maybe expanding the universe a bit with like a side story type telling of other things, like other characters. Yeah. I really, really would love it. I mean, if they did a movie and expanded on the Tuffles a bit more, or the Sifurians, yeah? Because we don't really know anything about their background apart from they were kind of like the Earthlings, high technology, and they took the Saiyans in as refugees, but then they both have their own sides to the story at who actually caused the war. So it would be good to have that expanded so that way we can see, a lot more interaction between the two of them before this goes on, because the war went on it was a 10-year war, wasn't it? And then when they had that fateful time with the moon, then obviously the Tuffles lost. But that would be something I'd like to change, or something to add, just so we could have, and it could be like a movie that then could be a standalone movie, maybe even involve, I don't know, maybe Yamoshi?
Yeah,
but although
Yamoshi. When are we going to get to that?
Yeah, there is that as well. But so I mean, the Tuffles, expand on the Tuffles.
Yeah. Oh my God, I remember 18 months ago we saw the first trailers for the Broly movie, and we were like, what would become a Broly movie? We were thinking, is this Yamoshi? Is this the original Super Saiyan God trying to test, basically going to Goku, show me what you've got. Pretty much. It's like, but alas, no, it was Broly. And I remember the reveal of the title. Everyone was going like, no, 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 no. Oh, thank God. But yeah, so these were just my couple of questions, and I think they were pretty good. So if you guys have a particular question, do you guys have a question? Feel free to come up and basically, or I can come to you because I am the host. I shall come to you because you guys have gotten drinks. And by the way, the bar is open if you want to get yourself a drink and stuff like that. But I shall come over. So you got in early, nice. But yeah, so basically, feel free to put your hand up if you've got a question. But I'll come over and.
Stage throughout the Kenya or making YouTube videos, did you decide, you know what, I'm a YouTuber?
So basically, what was this moment of clarity? So Dimsy was saying, it's like, as in like, what was that point in your time as a content creator you realise, I'm a YouTuber? As in, it's just this moment of like, oh, algorithms are my friend. What was the turning point basically in your career and you realised, this is going to be my regular thing, pretty much. Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think one of the weirdest parts, and I'm sure everyone will echo this sentiment, is that when you do YouTube full time or even part time, it doesn't matter like how many views or how many comments you get. It never really feels real. Like, you know, you stare into a screen, you talk to yourself, you upload to the internet, and you stare at the screen again. There's not really any sort of personal back and forth between you and your audience, at least to me, that feels legitimate. And so at Kameacon last year in Texas was kind of like the first time I was like, whoa, this is actually a real thing. Because I was meeting people who were saying, you know, wow, you got me into animation and basically just inflating my ego as much as possible. It was lovely. But no, that was the first time through it. Like before that, you know, it's just words on a screen. Once you meet people who have watched your content and they talk about how it's affected them, whether in a small way or in a big way. I mean, I remember someone who said that they were struggling very hard to know what to do at school. And they got really into my videos and decided that animation was the route they wanted to go down. So there's a lot of little things like that really mean a lot, and they make it feel so real. And you're like, wow, okay, this is what being a YouTuber is, or is all about, I guess. So yeah, that was for me.
And I still find it really funny because I first met you at Kameacon, and then basically it then became cleared out that we actually only live 10 minutes away from each other. It's like, and yet we still have not. It's been a year and a bit since then. We still haven't met up outside of a con. It's just like, no, that's just how you do things.
If you're talking about like the exact time that I figured that I can't. Sorry. To pinpoint an exact moment where I thought I was a YouTuber, it's kind of hard, but I can tell you the exact date I quit my job. That was pretty cool. The 28th of September, 2017. I was working in PC World. Here's my notice. That was pretty cool. No, but the question for me is kind of strange because, like, I'm 28 years old, and so when I was growing up on YouTube, it was like the late 2000s, and I was like looking at Bartz and Beretta and Smosh and Nigahiga and different guys like that, and I kind of feel like nowadays what I am isn't what was back then. And so in an effort to be what I wanted to be, which was a YouTuber back in the late 2000s, I've had to become something else entirely. And if you define what I do as being YouTube, it technically is, but it's nothing like what I actually wanted to get into it for. Now there's upsides and downsides to that. I mean, it's nice to get paid and it's nice to see that people are liking my stuff, but like there are a lot of negatives that actually come with it. And not to be down on it too much because it's a wonderful job and I'm tremendously happy to have the opportunity and for anyone to watch anything that I make. It's amazing. But to have to constantly do things every single week, constantly being conscious of the algorithm, constantly being conscious of every little thing that, you know, is in our way, so to speak, from earning a living, it can be very stressful. And that wasn't present way back when I actually initially decided that I want to be a YouTuber. If someone's out there that really wants to do it, I say it's incredibly hard. And I mean, there's been weeks where I don't stop working. And it's a job that on the surface people will think, oh, it's easy. He just does this, he uploads a video, he's done, and he's done for the week. But realistically, up until September last year, I never had a day off for about 8-9 months, and that was killer. So if I had to pinpoint the exact moment where I was a YouTuber technically full-time, September 28th, 2017, handing in my notice to PC World, it was incredibly cathartic. I'm incredibly proud of the videos that I've made and the fans that I have, and for anyone to watch anything that I make. But my definition of a YouTuber is very different to what it is today.
Yesterday.
I started YouTube to save time because I was spending too much time on the internet arguing with people. And I thought, you know what, put this in video presentation, you'll make your point a lot quicker. And carried on doing it for years. So yeah, here I am. That's basically why I started YouTube. And I realized I was a YouTuber when I started doing it, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of weird for me because, you know, like I was really young when I became a YouTuber. And to me, there's no real thing as a YouTuber. It just kind of happened, you know. It just had a couple hundred subs, you know, just being bored. And then some people found me and then they're like, hey, do more of this. And then I was like, wait a minute. People are asking me to do more? And then it was just like, okay, I'll do this guy's suggestion. And then I would just think of more videos and I would just keep going again. And then at some point it's like, this is kind of a thing now. And, you know, and then it just grew and I met friends and life just expanded and it just became a very natural progression. I feel like my YouTube story felt more natural as opposed to me just wanting to get into it. So, yeah, that's my story.
Well, for myself, I was just doing it for fun, and one day I guess I hit 9,000 subs, and I thought to myself, okay, this is sort of becoming a thing, and people were just, you know, always being supportive and saying, you know, we'd love to see more, and I thought, wow, you know, I didn't think there would be any kind of, you know, fan base or anything like that. So for a while I quit, and I just kind of said, I don't know about this. And then they still wanted more and more. And then I said, you know what? I guess I'm going to go with this. I had 2 jobs at the time when I had started my channel. And when I started to make money, I said, you know what? I've always wanted to do acting. I'd always wanted to express my comedic, charisma, jokes, whatever you want to say. But I started doing it, and I expressed myself, and I expressed my love for the show, and I expressed my love for all the, you know, voices that I grew up watching and analyzing and, you know, memorizing every line, you know, every little thing. You know, when I was a kid, I just, you know, Moscow, I'll tell you a funny story.
Yeah, she.
I had a friend who was getting bullied one day, and I had played Dragonball Budokai, and you know that line where Vegeta says, "I'm gonna beat that ugly mug off your face."
Oh yeah.
I went up to the guy. I thought was a guy. It was a girl actually. She just had a deep voice. And I said, "I'm gonna beat that mug off your ugly face if you don't stop hurting my friend." And then she said, "I am a girl." I was oh. But no, it's just love for the show, and that's when.
JB, pull the spit cover down. The pop film.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've been doing my my first YouTube channel, I started in roughly, I think it was 2005, 2006, and that was before it was owned by Google. It was its own thing, it was literally just a sharing program. And for me, the reason I started it is because I was making music, I've been making music since I was like 15, 16, but I've never had an outlet. I've got an outlet now to sort of like share my music with other people. At the time, I didn't have anything. So it was literally putting videos up so that I hadn't, you know, people other than my friends who I annoyed to death with, listening to my music and appreciating it. And it was really only after about, say, 5 years that I started getting big comments. When I started doing the Dragonball covers, people were saying, oh, can you do Hyperbolic Time Chamber? Can you do Super Saiyan Vegeta Powers Up? Or Gohan Angers? Or Piccolo's Theme? And I was like, this is... You know, people are actually wanting more music, so I'll give it a go. And I started doing more, and a lot more sort of like Dragon Ball cover artists started appearing as well. So, you know, I was working with them as well, giving them advice, working together, maybe even having a little bit of competition where we were both releasing the same track to see who got the most likes and things like that. So it was really only about 5 years after I'd begun my channel. My channel's roughly about 10 years old now. So yeah, about halfway through, I realized this is more than just like me sharing music. It's more of an obsession now. And that's the point, I would say, of becoming a YouTuber, I suppose.
All right, yeah. I suppose for me, if you want to like kind of lump me into this, is that basically it was like I wasn't really sure what I was doing with my own channel. I just had it since 2007 after Naruto bridged that thing, and basically it reached the heady years of 17,000 subscribers back in the day. In 2007, that's a big deal, but I then had the channel. I didn't really know what to do with it. So, but then I wanted to like make discussion videos. In 2016, I wanted to take it seriously, and then I made a video. It was slowly going up. I did Goku's Gonna Show You, and that was kind of just like a thing to going. It was going really well. So then I did a video about why I thought Super Saiyan 3 was dumb. And suddenly the algorithm just went there like, people need to hear about this. And I guess people do. And then people found it and they wanted me to do more. And then I did one about, is Pan going, should Pan have been for a Super Saiyan? And I'm like, yes. Yeah, no, all logic would have pointed towards that. Now I just want like an M. Bison gif of Pan just going, of course! But, yeah, right. But that was the thing. So I just kept making videos in that similar style, and then within like a couple of months I went from 50 to 100K, and it was just like, okay, now this is the thing now. So I finally found a niche, and then eventually it was able to like, give me something to do outside of Team 4-Star, and then eventually I started doing the what-ifs, thanks to you, good sir. And just going from there, and then basically just evolving the content here and there, and it's just, yeah. So it's just one of those moments of clarity. It is a moment of clarity, or just something suddenly happens, and you realize, okay, I managed to catch that lightning in a bottle, let's keep it in there. But yeah, so we got about like just 10 minutes. So is there anybody who has a question? I'll come over to you, and...
If you guys could bring back a random species or race that appeared in Dragon Ball and make it a side story, which one would you pick? Like, if there's any kind of race in the Dragon Ball that you feel like could do with a bit more insight, what would you pick?
I really like that question, so thank you. Generally speaking, one of the characters I'm really interested in the species of, and I know I was joking about this a minute ago when I was talking about it, but Captain Ginyu. Like, is that just one technique, or that he happens to know, or is it something that his entire race knows? And if so, who are they disguised as? Who are they pretending to be? Jimsy, are you Captain Ginyu?
No. I'm not.
Oh, well, that's pretty good. But yeah, I would say that. But yeah, have you thought of one yet? He hasn't thought of one yet. Have you thought of one yet?
I could say one. I think there's probably a lot of stuff that could be done with like, I don't know how this would happen or manifest in any way, but like, I always thought like the concept of like there being like some kind of like struggle between like the Saiyans and the Tuffles. I feel like there's like probably a story there that could be like done in isolation maybe, like a kind of like maybe like a prequel to Dragon Ball, so to speak, that you could just discuss like the major cornerstones of that particular struggle, the shortcomings of the Tuffles and the ultimate domination of the actual Saiyans. That could be fun. Yeah, maybe.
You're gonna regret giving me the mic. I mean, I can't think of a race really, but I would love to know what the hell is a Chaozu, and where does he come from? Why does he look like he does? Just a full backstory there would be pretty good.
I'd probably want to know more if Super ever comes back ever. Yeah, I'd like to know more about the angels, actually. Not just because my avatar for my channel is based on angels, but I think there's a lot of mystery around them. Who are the creators of the world? Is Zeno actually a creator, etc.? I would like to know more about the dimension beyond the universes, beyond the multiverse, because it seems like there's a great expanse there that they could really expand on and expand the universe.
And expand it.
Yeah, expand. just expand. Bigger. The Dragon Ball lore could get a lot bigger, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So I'd like to see more about the angels and why does the Grand Priest have 12 children? Who's his wife? That kind of thing.
The Grand Priestess, of course.
The Grand Priestess, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Revolushane said something that I was thinking of too, because I've always kind of wondered about Zeno himself, because, I mean, even though he's like this childish, Hey Arnold, football head, weird, he's a very weird character. I mean, he's a very weird looking character, blue, purple, whatever. He is the strongest character in human existence, and we know virtually nothing about this guy. He literally is just a kid that wants to see cool fights and play with a version of himself from another future. Yes, literally. And I think as a result of that, I have to say, just learning more about Zeno and what his race is, or why he's there, and why he seems to not be aware of how the universe works, even though everybody's afraid of him. It's always been interesting to me. Yeah.
This is a difficult question, but I've always been interested more about Jace's, race, just because I've just been interested about like what are all these space Aussies doing? What do they do? Like, does Jace just go, "Hey, mate, what's going on? Yeah, you're with the Ginyu Force, all right?
Go Space Broncos."
Go Space Broncos. Outside of Jace, though, I guess Zarbon's race. I don't know if they've even... The humanoid. It's very strange, yeah. And Raccoon, yeah, that's mainly anybody from Ginyu Force.
I think, obviously we know of Frieza and Frost and King Cold, and I don't know if it counts, but the one that was in the Bardock special, maybe we shouldn't count that. But anyway, I would like to know more, or, maybe a little bit of history of the dubbed Frieza race, which I like to call Ice Djinn. Some other people call them Frost Demons. Well,
definitely not Arcosians.
Definitely not Arcosians, no, because we know what that is now anyway. But an expansion on that would be interesting, because can they all transform, and are all their transformations different? I know obviously Cooler isn't technically canon and all that stuff, but he has that extra transformation that goes beyond the transformation that Frieza and Cooler can do, where he goes all buff and the spikes come out of his shoulder and he gets that sort of mouth guard thing. I'd like an expansion on that. That would be really interesting. Did they have a civilization? Do they have a home planet? That sort of thing. Are they all white? Do they all have silver? White and blue skin, or purple, or whatever? Or are they all different varieties? It would just be something to.
All right, cool. So we've only got a couple of minutes left on the panel, but you, sir, quick lightning thing. What's your thing? Is do.
Best merch item from Dragon Ball Z that you own.
Yeah. So you have to quick fire. What's the best bit of merch that you've owned?
A signed board from Masako Nozawa and Ryo Harukawa.
Lucky. Well, Gel.
Yeah, mine's more sentimental. I went to Japan 2 years ago and I got this keychain from my best friend that I hadn't seen in 3 years. It's a tiny little Goku. I've repaired it like 20 times and it's barely hanging on, but it's still there.
No, I've got a drag.
Yes, I really like this.
I don't. Oh yeah. Okay.
I guess that's his answer then.
It was this.
Not sure actually. Maybe my Grandista Instinct Goku figure.
The first thing you did was when I came to your house was you showed me. You're like, look, it's good.
Really quick, a very special artist drew this Mortal Kombat picture of Bulma, Gogeta, and Chi-Chi, and her name is Lovely Kotori, and I actually have that art, and she did a great job.
Oh.
Man, I think it was me meeting Rio and getting an autograph from him. It was just a really humbling experience to just see the man, and that was probably the most important thing.
Well, I've got a custom Dragon Ball wristband that has the 4-star ball on it, but it was created by Peter Kalamis, and he signed it as well. Probably that, I'd say. Yeah, I got that from Kamehameha 1. That's I don't wear it because I'm too afraid to break it or scratch it.
Definitely, but I'll round things off. But basically, my thing is basically all 7 volumes of the Daizenshu, so all 7 in mint condition. And I broke the seal in one of our discussions. Basically, I keep saying things about the Daizenshu, Here's the page I'm talking about from Daizenshuu 6. So I actually got it as a visual aid, but that's pretty much it from this panel. So thank you so much for joining us. And hold your horses. We got a bit of a 20-minute break, but we'll have some music from HalusaTwin to bide the time. Keep you guys saying, but remember, help yourself to some drinks over in the bar. And then we'll be back in a little bit for the voice actor panel.